Okay. Well, Rajeev, I just want to take that point forward. See, the RERA becomes a reality in Maharashtra on the 1st of May. Now, it would be a distance, it would take a little while before, they are staffed, they're given, they hit the ground. And at some time before consumers start approaching them. So do you think immediately the real estate companies will in Mumbai or in Maharashtra just be rushing to finish? Initially, will it be a crunch situation where they're only trying to meet old deadlines?
I think every company, see, that was the intention of RERA itself, that customer commitments must be met, they must be honored, and perhaps that is where the government, the courts, and people at large, including the media, were finding it a problem to cope up with multiple delays in multiple projects all over the country. So I'm sure that it would be in good stead for all real estate companies to finish their projects, to complete their customer commitments, and then go in for fresh new projects. So I think, but there'd be two effects, Lata. One, that yes, customer commitments would be met, but the new system would also entail delays. So I think in that meanwhile, anyone who has a completed flat or a completed apartment will get a better value for it. So I think they would then stand to gain in the short term too.
So we've had nearly a 6-year downturn in the real estate industry. If we're looking at things like pre-sales, do you think we've now got a very advantageous combination of events here? So we've got a new regulation which should improve the buyer's confidence in the real estate product, combined with a decline in mortgage rates. That looks like a very attractive combination, particularly considering we've been, let's call it a 6-year bear market in residential real estate.
I'm so glad, Adrian, that you deem it so. Yes, I think there are fortuitous circumstances taking place right now, that first of all, greater transparency, greater accountability. Number two, mortgage rates coming down, loan rates coming down, and I think a very good direction by the government. The largest segment of housing shortage in this country is of what we now call affordable housing. 30 square meters to 60 square meters, and a large number of incentives being given to them. There are still some policy tweakings which need to be in place, and no lesser than the Prime Minister's office is on the task. And in India, if you've seen it over a period of time, that policy announcements once made, measures taken, need time to get, fine-tuned, but eventually make a big difference, whether it was the telecom sector which began off in the mid-80s, whether it was the aviation sector which began off in the 90s, early 90s, and now hopefully the direction being given by the current government on affordable housing will get tweaked over a period of next 2-3 years, just like REITs did initially, and hopefully I think that would mean a big quantum jump in the volumes of work being undertaken by the construction and real estate industry. But more than that, I think it'll throw up a lot of people into this business afresh. And I think that means a great jump for employment.
But have we seen any improvement in demand at all, Rajeev? Because the NCR market is still extremely sluggish. And when we spoke last during your previous quarter earnings, you did mention that it will take at least a couple of more quarters before you see any recovery in demand. What's the status as of now?
Well, okay, I don't think we could link demand with this oversupply. There is an oversupply. It takes time to get absorbed, just like the commercial sector did after the slowdown in 2008. It's taken almost 7 years after that for the oversupply to get absorbed. In the residential sector, because of loan rates coming down, mortgage rates coming down, I think Adrian touched when he was giving the example of Mexico. I think he touched on a very, very critical point, which is mortgage rates and the tenure of mortgages. We'll come to that a little later. But I think this oversupply will get absorbed on better earnings by the other industries in general in the economy, and that will add fillip with lower interest rates to getting this oversupply in the residential segment absorbed. I think that should take about 3 to 4 quarters, but within that period, I think a newer regime would come into place, a newer emphasis on affordable housing, more tweaking of policy on issues like FAR, FSI, density, standardized plans, a larger number of projects being launched, public-private partnership on government lands and PSU lands, which is public sector enterprises and public sector undertakings on those lands. I think all that will mean a huge jump in the coming, let's say, 5 years.
Okay, Phil, Rajeev, I'm being warned that we are out of time, but our audience largely thinks in terms of stocks and companies to invest in. You're best placed to advise them on this entire, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana itself, the affordable housing scheme. Who is likely to benefit most? If you were a betting man, would you bet on cement? Would you bet on housing finance companies? Would you bet on real estate?
Oh, I think you've hit all three of them, but I think real estate, yes. How many of them would go public, first of all? And what kind of partnerships shape out, I think. But, of course, the companies which supply the basic raw material, whether it's cement, steel, I mean, ceramics, and of course, housing finance companies, I think they would do rather well.
Okay, Rajeev, as always, thank you